Hey, hello everyone. I am back. I have not done a morning meditation this week simply because I've been working so vigilantly putting out EFT videos and the like, but it really feels good to be back to just focusing on that which to me is the most significant, which is simply the deep inner inquiry that is the real and true nature of meditation. I called this one meditation on yourself. All meditation really is on yourself. It's always about you. Uh, it's we use the word I thousands of times a day. You, Actually, every thought you have is the thought of I. That seems kind of odd to people, um, but if you realize that I is first person, right? So you, he, she, we, them, it are all defined in relation to, in reference to I. So every thought you have is the I thought, either directly or indirectly. It's either explicit or implied. And yet we almost never spend any time really pondering that sense of I, that sense of our own existence. I hear people say all the time, I want to be enlightened. I want to know God. I want to have a better life. I want to have, the dream stuff. I want to have more abundance and all of that. And, the verb part, I want or I know or I wish for, is quite clear. The object that we're seeking, be it enlightenment or a new car, right, is something we can talk about. But when I ask, well, that's great, but who's the I? What do you mean by I? We never stop and think about that. The moment you do, you realize that when you use that word I, which we use all the time, which is our name, actually, everybody's name, uh, what you're actually referring to is an assumption. You have all sorts of assumptions about who this I is, but we don't examine those. Genuine meditative inquiry is an attempt to do that, to put the attention not on the action of a verb or the object of our pursuit, but on ourselves. And the best meditation is the meditation that does that. It turns your attention back inward again. So, those of you who are joining and are here, please say hello and tell me where you're listening from, or if this is the first time you've been here. Yes, somebody said they've missed these the past few days. Yes, I was working on all these videos for EFT and moving all of my energy healing videos over to my new platform. So it's been really quite a busy week, but I really needed to do it because I need it too. I enjoy it so thoroughly. And as you could tell, I'm not in my studio today. It's actually quite a distance. My studio is about 20 miles away, so I have to drive a bit to get there. So I just thought I would come out here. This is the Pecos National Forest, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful place where I could just sit outside and enjoy the nice sunshine and the beautiful surroundings, and do a meditation with all my friends. So the heart and soul of spirituality, at least spirituality as I teach it, which is non-dual spirituality, is to is to discover the true nature of the I. And that's why it's called non-dual, right? It's not this great mystery. It's simply that you are not two, right? That's self-evident. So you can't know yourself or come to know yourself as if you were an object, as if you were two, right? I mean, the trees around me and my car that I drove here, the computer that I'm sitting at doing this, the headphones, the shirt, those are all objects we can look at dualistically and we can discuss them. It's, it's red, it's a sweater, it's made of this material, it looks good, it doesn't look good, right? Um, those are all objects and there's a dualistic nature to them. But when you're talking about yourself, you can't step outside and look at yourself and have the same kind of conversation. So to come to know yourself requires a, a an approach that is not two, which is of course what non-duality stands for, or the Hindu word Advaita, which means not, literally means not two. So how do you know yourself when you can't know yourself like one thing knows another, right? Like I know my car, my house, or these trees around me. Like um, I can't know myself that way. Now this is a bit of a mind blower because we're so used to knowledge being. I'm going to be describing this in terms of that, right? So I say the tree is green. Well, we all have assume we all know it green. Oh, well, so are bushes, so are grass, right? So these are all descriptive of stuff through observation. But you can't observe yourself like that. You see, I'm observing myself. I'd say, who's observing what? This is the nature of non-duality, is that you are not two. And therefore, the sum total of human knowledge is secondary for you. How do you know yourself directly? So the whole non-dual thing isn't this great mystical thing. There's nobody here. There's nothing to do. A lot of the Advaita teachers, right? And you all know which ones I say go ahead and listen to, and those, and everybody else you can just kind of ignore. Um, it gets overcomplicated. It's how do you know yourself when you can't step apart from yourself, look back, and describe you? The entire experience of your own being is completely subjective. It's completely within. It, you can never step outside of yourself and experience yourself from without. So within is the only place you know. It's the only place to go. It's the place you always are. So this kind of non-dual spiritual inquiry is not esoteric. It's not philosophical. It's not heavy and deep, right? It's very simple. It it addresses things on the most practical level, on the most direct level. You can't refer to thoughts or images or pictures or ideas or concepts about yourself because they're all about you, right? They're all an image of you from somewhere else. Like this image in the video, right? It's an image of me. It's not me, right? Right? If you look at yourself in the mirror, it's an image of you, but it's not you. You can't see yourself directly. So, in the meditation we're about to do, I want to meditate on you. That is, I want you to meditate on yourself. And, and although I'm going to be doing one meditation that we'll all be participating in, we will all be going to the place of ourselves. Because that's what you find there. But to truly know yourself, it has to be without any external reference. It's not what you look like from in here. Take a nice deep breath or two. Consciously slow down your breathing, deepen it. And as you your attention begins to draw inwardly, Ramana Maharshi would refer to that as the mind sinking into the heart. We're moving from the realm of thinking, perceiving, assessing, judging, discriminating, into the inner realm of pure feeling, of pure presence. And notice, especially if you've been doing these with me for a while, how easy it is to do that. How easy it is to shift attention inward and just notice what you're feeling. Now, that doesn't mean the mind is suddenly going to become very cooperative and quiet, or attention isn't going to be distracted by something. All we're doing is not engaging with it. We're letting ourselves stay right here in the realm of feeling, of direct presence. And now you notice all of the thoughts that you normally have. We have images of ourselves, we have pictures in the mind, we have ideas, we have memories, we have aspirations. Now, those are all thoughts. Nothing wrong with them. But remember, this is a meditation not on your thoughts, but on you. We refer to them as my thoughts, which means there's a me, and then there's the thoughts. So you're different from the thoughts. And that means that every thought, no thought, that is, refers to you. No thought is actually the truth of you. Which means you cannot know yourself through thought. And yet, thoughts are coming and going, and you're very much here, aren't you? And just really be there with that sense of your own presence. I'm here. I don't know as what. If I take thoughts about me out of the equation, I can't really say I know what I am. I'm just being this presence. And notice the calming effect that has on the whole nervous system. And notice this this simple, obvious fact that you're there with or without the thoughts. is not a disappointing discovery, is it? It's not a problem. It's a little disorienting because we're so used to thinking of ourselves. We're so used to referring to ourselves in thought. But right now, it's just you without thought. Just this sense of presence. You're clearly here. We need no thought to describe you. And this is equally true of our emotions. Our emotions are actually more subtle and more pronounced than thoughts, because life is felt, not thought. Emotions are life. And yet, emotions too come up and they play for a while and they go away. And you have many different emotions in a single day that run the entire gamut. But notice that there's some presence there that's always aware of the emotion coming and going. And it doesn't come and go with the emotions. And isn't that you? Aren't you the one who watches it come and go? Just really let yourself feel yourself as the presence, not as thoughts about the presence or emotions being experienced by the presence, but just the presence. And even if there was no thought or emotion at all, wouldn't you still be present, noticing that there's no thoughts or emotions? You would still be here. The you that is not being described by thought or referenced to emotion. No name, no past, no future, no beliefs, no form, no gender, because those are all thoughts. Just you. You without you. You without any knowledge of you. Rather indirect knowledge. This is the direct experience of being. Probably the most constant and subtle of all is sensation. Just the physical feeling of the body. You can very much tune in to the energetic feeling of your hands or your feet. But those two are not static. Notice that it's a flow. And we even say, my body. Well, who's the my? And who's the body? What if this presence that is you isn't the body? It's just temporarily inhabiting it. temporarily permeating it, just the way space permeates everything. And if even all of the sensation was gone, there was no body, would you still be here? You. Just you. Nothing but you. Not even the body as a reference point. But this you can't be described. It's known, but not like one thing knows another. You know yourself simply by being yourself. You are, and that's a direct knowledge. It's a different kind of knowing than our normal discursive thinking, and our normal way of describing one thing in terms of another thing. This is knowing the indescribable. This is what the Tao means when it says the Tao that can be spoken is not the true Tao. The Tao is you. It's not an abstract state out there somewhere. It's you. It's yourself. It's the self. And when we simply turn attention away from all external experiences, however subtle, obviously sensation, emotion, and thought are very subtle and feel very intimate, yet they too are being watched by something even more subtle than they are. And when we turn completely away from everything external, we find the one thing we cannot turn away from. You, yourself. And every meditation leads here. Every meditation is, in fact, a meditation on yourself. It is a meditation by yourself and on yourself. So take a nice breath. And remember, you're not coming back from this. You never leave yourself. As you open your eyes, you're simply letting different kind of experience be had. But the one having the experience remains forever you. Let me go scroll through here a little bit. Hi, Ava, Lisa, Liza, Rosario in Spain. Hello, sir. Cheryl. She's missed these past few days. Sorry. I've gotten you all hooked. Oops. Robert in Henderson. Hello, sir. Good to have you. Marlene in Texas. Alessandra in Monterey. Roberto is in Madrid. Anja in Germany. Roberto said, thank you for all you do, especially the two new ones on tapping on fear from coronavirus and on fear of lack. They make me cry every time, especially when it comes time to thank my nervous system. Yes. Well, when we can when we can truly reestablish a loving, harmonious relationship with our nervous system, we have opened the door wide to all healing, because it was disconnection from yourself, disconnection from all of these things that set up the conflicts that made us be fighting with ourselves and self-sabotaging and negative self-talk and all of that. But simply recognizing the nature of the system and what it was actually doing was simply trying to keep you alive. It's like, my God, this is my friend. It's an overzealous friend, for sure, right? In order to keep you safe, it'll keep you very restricted. But all it needs is some guidance into a better, a more intelligent, a more freeing way of keeping you safe. And then you can thank it. And this shift in relationship, I mean, it's unconditional love. And there's no defense needed for unconditional love. I mean, all the walls of armor can come down because you're finally stepping into the realm of pure love, which is what you actually are. And yes, brings tears to the eyes. It just stirs the heart. Lillian says, thank you. Thank you, Lillian. John, hi GP. Hi, John. Anna Maria in Poland. Dorte in Denmark. And Laird. Hello, Laird. Good to see you. My friend in Chicago. Nice to be with you too. Well, I will hang around a little bit for questions. Please like and share. Help draw other people into this kind of a conversation. But stay for a little bit if anybody has any questions or comments. I love that you are doing frequent satsangs. They're a powerful way to for my false self to dissolve. Yes. Well, they're a powerful way for you to see the false self as a false self. That's how it dissolves. It's not a thing that dissolves. It's a realization that it never existed in the first place, that it was just a thought. There was no real entity called the false self or the ego. The ego, this thing everybody's afraid of or everybody condemns, doesn't exist as a thing, as an entity. It's only a thought. And when I believe in that thought as if it existed separate from me, I literally create a demon, and then I wrestle with that demon, right? Which is completely of my own fabrication. And that's the tremendous insight that non-dual meditation and inquiry brings. There never was a false self. It was always imaginary. But the nature of consciousness is so powerful that it brings into and creates the experience of anything you believe. If I believe it strongly enough, I will create that experience in my life. And then I will believe that that experience exists independent of my own beliefs. And that's the essential schizophrenia everyone is in. I create a devil, and then I run away from the devil, not realizing I've made him. So it's very funny when you see it. It's kind of the cosmic joke. John is from Portugal. Oh, great to have you. Robert says, why am I more afraid and crying by no reason than before all this virus thing started? Well, because all of the energy that is coming up for now as fear and crying and emotional release and the like was there, right? But it needed to have some kind of a powerful enough trigger to really get it to be exposed. And the coronavirus, as a life-threatening thing, especially if you're older, right? I mean, I'm in the I'm in the crowd of the most susceptible, right? Of the most vulnerable, or sick, and like it's a very powerful feeling uh, of being life threatening, and boom, all of this stuff is going to start coming up. But the stuff isn't a direct association. The stuff was there already. It was just looking for something to trigger it, something to attach itself or associate itself with. So the actual crying and emotion and fear that's coming up isn't completely or directly related to the coronavirus. This is old stuff, probably, I'm sure it goes back to parents and maybe before. Um, for various kinds of things we didn't get, we had to suppress our fear in order to be able to function. All sorts of things can be there. Thank God we don't have to figure the whole complex thing out, because the nervous system is so good at putting these things together. There's just no way in the world we could sort it all out, but we don't have to. All we have to do is create the safe environment, and the nervous system will sort it out. It's the one that created it. It's the one that will uncreate it. But it can only do that when the environment in which it created it, namely, I'm not safe, it becomes transformed into an environment that is safe. And then the nervous system does what it was designed to do: adapt. It just adapts to whatever container you give it. So, uh, thank God we don't have to trace everything back to the origin. We don't have to figure any of this out. We just have to be loving. We just have to love ourselves and the entire mechanism of life. And when you appreciate that all it's been trying to do is keep you safe, suddenly the walls can start coming down, and you can start regarding this with equanimity and love. And that's when the healing just begins to explode. But the process of healing means all sorts of wounds and traumas and emotion and stuff is going to come to the surface, because it's just been down there for so long. So just let it come. Let it come. Or the virus triggered it. You've become conscious enough to see that there's a bigger picture here. And so the healing is running deeper than just afraid of a particular event. It's lifetimes of fear that are finally being released. Hello, Ursula. Madeira Island. So good, so good, so good. Sensmita says, how to quickly move out of negative thoughts when what you desire doesn't work out, at least immediately, or when you face hopelessness and unfortunately you accidentally jeopardize things. Well, if you recognize that thought patterns and emotional patterns, like hopelessness and that sort of thing, are learned patterns of behavior, and you stop fighting with, how do I get out of them, right? How do I get rid of them? You're creating a conflict. When you create the conflict, you create an environment that is in conflict, which means it's not safe. When it's not safe, what does the nervous system do? It digs in more. It holds on. It produces more negative stuff, right? Because that's what it was designed to do. What do? You shift the environment. Recognize hopelessness is coming up. But notice in the meditation that we did, there were thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and they were all being observed from someplace else. You're the enlightened witness of these thoughts. You don't have to take responsibility for getting rid of them. Matter of fact, the more you try to get rid of them, the more they'll be, because they're a result of the environment of rejection and resistance. So when you recognize that these are just habitual thoughts coming up, that they're not really a reflection of you, that you are always now and always sitting in the position of the awakened, enlightened witness, you simply allow them to be. And then you watch what happens. And the real attention now becomes more about, how do I let go of my resistance? How do I love more? How do I allow more? And I have a brand new version of the Yoga of Allowing coming out in a couple of weeks. So with all sorts of exercise to help do just that. And then another thing you can do is to allow the desire for what it is you want, right? And then let go of it. Give it to God. Put it on the altar and say, this is what I want. I acknowledge that I want this, but I'm letting go of all of my attachment to it. And I'm just kind of, the desire came up in me, right? For some reason, I didn't create this desire. It just arose within me. So whatever its destiny is, I take my hands off of it. I, I leave it in your hands. Not my will, but thine be done. It's the most simple way of approaching. It's not a denial of desire, like a lot of spiritual traditions do, don't have any desires, but it is an impersonal recognition that whatever it is that's coming up in me, I'm the vehicle for it. I'm the garden in which this flower is to grow, but it's not my job to make it grow. So that way, suddenly, maybe you can even feel it right now as you take your hands off the desire, and there's no attachment, and there's no belief that somehow, if I get this desire, then I will be happy, because that's not true. Or if I don't get it, I won't be happy. Those are both self fulfilling prophecies. And in both cases, you are simply giving the happiness that is you away, projecting it onto a condition, and then suffering for not having the very thing you gave away. The fact is, happiness is inherent. So, does that help, Sensmita? Carl. Hello, Carl. GP, as we become more aware and meditate on our presence, why does our nervous system not automatically balance and regulate itself? Especially since we now know it's not true anymore. Because it takes time. It takes time to sink into the whole thing, and you need to become stronger, right? When the energy system is beginning to adjust itself, but it's been in this pattern for a long time. You have to continue to create the safe space. And that safe space, the ultimate safe space, is knowing yourself as pure presence. But then that pure presence embraces the nervous system as it is. The pure presence has no preference. It doesn't care if the nervous system's all messed up or not. It has no issue with it. Right? That's the environment of perfect allowing. That's the environment of perfect unconditional love. And at that point, you've really begun to establish yourself in the true sense of yourself, when even your own upheavals in the nervous system don't bother you. There it is. Inside you, this can be going on, and yet you're simply watching it. Oh, this is what has to happen. This is what it's got to do now. Okay, fine. And you let it. So it's very subtle. It's very subtle, but you can see that you're seeking to get something to change, which means that the witnessing of yourself is not pure yet. It has a preference. It's taking sides, right? So go deeper. Go deeper into the presence that does not have any preferences. It is pure awareness. It is just aware, with no vested interest in what it is aware of. This is the path. When you get there, you'll know it. Sends me to, she continued, that are already worked out for you, like in my case. I've applied for quite a few things, but different timelines. What happened? Oh, hit the wrong button. Sorry. Didn't mean to put that one up there, folks. But if you want to donate, by all means do. Okay. I've applied for quite a few things, but different timelines, and I have no control once I have made an attempt to secure it. Yes, so let go of trying to control it. The lesson to learn is that life takes care of life, not that you've done it right or wrong. You do what you can do, and then you let go. Because how this personal life unfolds is not your creation. You didn't invent this. You didn't come up with this life. You didn't meet with the board of karma in between two lifetimes and decide what everything in this life was going to be. None of that happened. This is all a spontaneous arising. And so you don't have any control, and you don't want any. That part of us that wants control is the ego. The part that thinks that it has set all this up is the ego. You're not the ego. You're the pure awareness that is aware even of the ego. Let's see. Roberto says, I'm 55. I got you by 13 years, buddy. Roberto, oops. I was caught up in the demons last week, and I was at the mercy for about 3 hours of thoughts not too pleasant. They took over. Have to remember to let them pass through. That's the practice, right? It is constant. Yes, that's right. These are my thoughts, and it's going to be wreaking havoc in the whole nervous system. It's not just thoughts. That would be easy, but it triggers fear, and all this emotional stuff happens. Constantly just ask yourself, to whom is all of this appearing? And and that question immediately turns your attention away from what is happening, the thoughts and the emotions, to the one it's happening in front of. It automatically brings the attention back to you. And then the attention will want to go back to the thing. You'll watch the whole drama playing out of that habit of attention wanting to focus on the negative circumstances. And you just keep bringing it back. That's consciousness returning itself to the center. And eventually that becomes so intuitive and so natural that the attention just can't stay there for very long. And the experience itself begins to diminish because it's sustained by our attention on it and our resistance to it. Would it be possible to have a small GP with us so I can carry 20%? Well, that's why I have so many damn recordings. Get a little version of me, like a little bobblehead thing you can put on your dashboard. Laird says, thank you. Love this video. Oh, great. Amy, hello, love. Thanks for the reminder. You're very welcome. The body can be complex. That's just a thought. The body is brilliantly simple, and yeah, it is complex in the sense that there's just so much to it. But it's not complex in the sense that it's complicated. It's this beautiful functioning whole. And its complexity is only an appearance, because the reality of it is this internal unity. And that internal unity is the consciousness that you are. Great to see you too. All right, that's it for now. I'm actually beginning to sweat. It's getting hotter now. Gets hotter, and I can feel on my forehead, my poor little Irish skin. So thanks you all for being here once again. There will be satsang as normal on Sunday. I'll be broadcasting from the office. And so good to see you all. So just stay alert, stay safe, and remember that the entire world is within you. You are way more than you think you are. And the whole purpose of this is to discover what you've always been. And it is magnificent beyond words. Namaste, everybody.